To see you again, Pamela. How you doing?
It's good to be here. Oh, the irony, Ezra, the irony. Yes, it's a free country, but not if the likes of Robert De Niro really has anything to say about it. Of course, the irony is not lost on me. Let's review, shall we? The UAE has slave conditions. Many people refer to the migrants there working there as slaves that shame the West because, as you know, institutions like NYU, New York University, use those slave workers. If you recall, in Abu Dhabi, they forbid Israeli athletes from wearing national emblems, okay? It's Nazi-esque. Actually, I guess the yellow star, it's sort of the same sort of piece of, hatred and anti-Semitism. And when Israel won, they refused to play the Israeli anthem. So many examples abound. The American mother who was slaughtered in a bathroom in a mall there by a burqa-clad Muslima. In that trial, non-Muslim witnesses should be discarded. That's what the defense said. Mm-hmm. I could go on and on. The hypocrisy is astonishing. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. First of all, there was a time for decades that Robert De Niro never gave interviews. He was a man of mystery. Mm. It certainly would have served him better than opening his mouth, where he showed the world he really was a moron. Yeah. And his partnership, with his long partnership, for example, with Harvey Weinstein. He never really came out publicly and said anything about that. They produced several movies together. And he's been strangely silent. And also, we don't have to talk about his history of abusive stories. One of his girlfriends, he coerced and abused in trying to have an abortion. I mean, people in really brittle glass houses should not throw stones. And if America is suffering from temporary insanity, which, by the way, I agree with, but not for the same reasons.
Yeah, you're talking about Trump derangement syndrome in the media and the left. I agree. You know, I want to pick out one detail, and it's the United Arab Emirates. I have not been there. Like everyone else, I marvel at the skyscrapers of Dubai, but I also know that those skyscrapers are designed by architects in London, England, or the United States or Germany, and they're built by foreign indentured labor. The majority population in the United Arab Emirates are foreign guest workers, often from other Muslim countries, by the way, Filipinos, Thais as well. The Emiratis themselves are, I think, only 1/7 of the population. They're sort of layabout princes. My point is, it's not even a country, it's in some way an economic miracle, and it's not terrorist infested like other countries in the region, so we should give it its due. But here's what gets me, Pamela, is why is Robert De Niro going there? And it reminds me, Margaret Atwood went there to get some prize, and all these artistes go there. There is no cultural capital in the United Arab Emirates. The Emiratis were basically desert nothings. They weren't of any note culturally or civilizationally until they struck oil. The modern miracles of their city are built by Asian labor and Western design. The only reason De Niro and Atwood and all other celebrities go there is because they're given bags of cash for showing up to give that little dictatorship any sort of reputation. It's sort of, if you're going there, you're clearly being bought off for PR for the local dictatorship. That's my view. What do you think?
I think they're whores. That's what I think. Enormous amounts of money, and they turn a blind eye to the Sharia-riddled country. And we see this in the Kardashians doing shows over there. I mean, what was more absurd than Sex and the City doing the movie in Abu Dhabi? What was more absurd than that? As they're flying around in these scant outfits, surrounded by these prison-clad, these cloth-coffined women. I mean, they should be ashamed. They've sold their soul. No principles. I mean, it's exposed. It's naked. No principles. No courage of any convictions. How could they then? They're morally bankrupt. They have no moral nerve. They have no morals. And so they sell out to the highest bidder. And for someone like that to preach to us is just the height of hypocrisy and absurdity. And I think that he was exposed for what he is. And what's he doing there? Anyway, to your point, what is he doing? What is he doing there? And sitting amongst men in literally 1,400-year-old outfits they're wearing, and he is preaching to us. Yeah. If anyone is insane, it's the unhinged left in this country, Hollywood, media, academia, because the people spoke. The people spoke in 2016, and Donald Trump, thank God, we dodged a bullet. A bullet, sadly, I fear Canada is suffering under your Prime Minister Trudeau. Yeah. I mean, if you want to see a juxta, there's two very parallel universes. You had Harper, we had Obama.
Yeah. And then we sort of switched sides on that. The idea that DeNiro is in the UAE, and I think of Margaret Atwood, who wrote a book called The Handmaid's Tale that was a Christian theocracy that treated, that had a gender apartheid in a Christian theocracy, but yet she was happy to go to a Muslim gender apartheid country and take a cash award. That's what gets me. And it reminds me, there's this really, really sad picture of Nicolas Cage. And I happen to like Nicolas Cage as an actor most of the time, but I guess he fell on hard times, and so he took like $1 million or something to go to some birthday party in one of the stands. I don't remember if it was Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or something. And there's this photo of him dressed in the local, garments, and his face looks utterly dejected, like, how did my life end up here? Well, the answer is, when you fall on hard times, you go to one of the stands, you go to the United Arab Emirates, you pick up a big appearance check, and you're basically there to bring Western fashionable political approval to what would otherwise be called, what it is, an illiberal dictatorship. I think that Robert De Niro swanning around the UAE is gross enough in itself, but maybe he's on hard times like Nicolas Cage was. But to then swipe at the freest place in America, his own home country, is super gross. Last word to you, Pamela.
I mean, when you think about the Italian immigrants, how they came to this country, how they worked so hard, and what a success they made, and what a success he made, and to kick sand in the face in the freest country that made him what he is, shows really what a pig he is. There's no kind word for this. We can come up with fancy terms, morally bankrupt, and so on and so forth. In that country where people, there is a slave class, and he is calling us backward, I think was a stunning indictment of Robert De Niro, not of who we are as a nation.
You're so right about the slave class, because
we will make America great again.